Okay, we're live, people. We are live. So I'm going to put a thing in the various different Discords because I'm grossly underprepared for a stream I set up myself. Oops. So just bear with me one moment. I will get like a beginning screen at some point once I figure that stuff out. But until then, it's just going to be like this, where I rush stuff during the live stream and into the self-promotion rooms I go. But yeah, for now, we started the stream. If anyone's got anything they want to say in the next couple of minutes, go for it. If not, I'll probably start answering questions in about a few minutes. But yeah, there's also a link in the description for the Discord as well. In this video, if the link doesn't work, I'll post another one. But yeah, for now, we'll give everyone a couple of minutes to see if we get some people in. But yeah, should be good. If I stop playing Genshin, I've never played Genshin Impact. I try and avoid gacha games as best I can, even though I play Yu-Gi-Oh! But yeah, I'm all good, man. So yeah, I don't play Genshin Impact. I know it's quite popular. I know my friend plays it, but I never bothered. I probably should. Maybe I'll give it a go. I don't know yet. Maybe I will try it at some point. Just having some tea, the old English tea. But yeah, all good. Have I stopped playing the cello? I never started playing the cello, so I don't know how to answer that. I guess it would be yes. I have stopped playing the cello because I never did. I wish I could play a musical instrument. I don't know which one I'd play though. They're all really difficult. Acoustic guitar's too basic as well, so I don't know which instrument I actually want to play. Maybe something cool like the triangle. The triangle's more my kind of speed. I am tempted to download some music software and give it a go though, like Fruity Loops. That's the one everyone seems to use, FL Studio. But yeah, that aside, I haven't but yeah, I don't. I might give it a go at some point. I've watched endless YouTube videos about it. Go full Spinal Tap and take up the rectangle. It's one more type. Yeah, that's true, but no one plays the rectangle. Maybe I'll be the first rectangle player. I don't know. I don't know if it'd actually sound different, to be honest. How loud is the music on this? Okay, that's not the video I want to be looking at. Where's the music coming from? Ah, it's coming from over here. But yeah, how's everyone doing on this fine day? What's the weather like outside? Excuse me. Weather's quite grey, typical England. But yeah, typical England. But yeah, I'm just happy the channel's hit 5,000. To be honest, the growth has been slower. I got a recent bump thanks to Liz Truss. I got a lot of new people on the channel. Let's have a look. See if I can find the video of Liz. Where are you, Liz? Oh, I don't know if I'll find it, but yeah, if we go, see audience, subscribers. There it is. Though, look, that's the day I did the Liz Truss video, and it got a ridiculous amount of subscribers. Look at that, 191, 64, and then yeah, it got me like 200 subscribers plus. Crazy. Can't believe so many people actually watched that video. Like, I think it's one of the most popular videos. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, it's my top most popular video. Yeah, it's almost at 50k views. That's wild. Yeah. Honestly, that was a really brutal interview that she was in as well, because the guy, he just didn't care. He didn't care at all. So yeah, thanks to Liz, actually. Yeah, it did. It's helped the channel out quite a lot. Gained, over 200 subs over it. So, part of the way there to 6k already, which is really, really great. So if I get a few more videos like that, it'll really help the channel out. But yeah, shouts out to Liz, I guess. Tempted to tweet her a link of the video. So thanks for the views. Thanks for helping me out on YouTube. But yeah, shoutouts to Liz Truss. Yeah, shouts out to Liz. You guys got any questions you want to ask quickly before I go into like all of the topic questions? Give you guys a couple of minutes before I start with the topics. So I don't know if the people who actually ask these questions are here. Always wondered, but are you a lecturer at university? No, I'm not smart enough to do anything like that. Definitely not. I think you need a master's to be a lecturer at university. I think. I do not have an MA, and I have no intention of getting one. I think I'd rather get punched in the face than have to go through university again. Absolute nightmare. Absolute nightmare. So I never want to do that again. Maybe at the Open University, but maybe I'll go for an MA there. But for the time being, I have no intention of teaching. The problem with teaching is you're not allowed to be super political. I was tempted to go for, I think it's called a PCGA or something like that, PGCA. It's always tempting, but teaching is just too stressful. You don't get paid enough to be a teacher, in my opinion, especially with all the nonsense you have to deal with. But yeah. So I'm not a lecturer at a university. I'm just a talking head on YouTube, where people cannot challenge me because I can mute them instantly. It's a good life. Got any more questions, guys, before I move on to the topic questions? Need more coffee. And the music stopped. That's not good. Alright, I guess we'll be moving on to the topic questions. Can I do a poll on my phone, or do I have to do it on the computer? I have to do it on the computer. That's a bit rubbish, isn't it? Teaching us a lot of shackles. Yeah, I just wouldn't want to do it. It's always been tempting, but my essay writing is really bad as well. And teaching others how to write essays would be a nightmare if I don't know how to do one myself. But yeah, we're going to move on to the topic questions. So I'll cut the music out, which is from Ellie. Congrats, it's good to see the channel grow, and that I don't promote that rejoiner nonsense. I did a whole video on the difficulties of rejoining the single market. Since from a European perspective, it appears very unlikely that the UK, England will be permitted to, I like how she's broken that down, will be permitted to rejoin in less than 2 generations if ever. Do you, as a young Briton, Englander, plan to emigrate? If yes, what country? Your choice. Why do you choose those? Do you fulfill their criteria? So, Oh, I can hear a voice. Where's that coming from? Don't know where that voice is coming from. That was weird. Oh, well, maybe I'm just going insane. So if we have a look, so which countries? Probably be the Netherlands. I quite like the Netherlands when I was there. Germany was okay, but I preferred the Netherlands. Why'd I choose them? Because I've been there and it was cool. I really enjoyed it, and it wasn't super expensive, and it was nice. You know, people are friendly, and they speak better English than me, which is great because it just is. Do I fulfil that criteria? Probably not. Probably due to income, amongst other things, I wouldn't fulfil the criteria there. Maybe back to Bangladesh if things really kick off here, but at the same time, I'd still have to get a Bangladeshi passport, which would be a bit difficult, and the flooding there is really bad. No, it's 1K subs. No, so from your computer you can live stream with any number. From your phone, I think you need to hit 1,000 subs to live stream from your phone. But for you, regardless how many subs you have, you can live stream on the computer via OBS. But you need, I think it's 1,000 to stream from your phone. So yeah, that answers that one. Do I plan on immigrating? No, I don't want to move. I hate moving. I hate change. In all honesty, what makes a young person stay in a country that will be affected negatively by Brexit for a long time, and the society which is literally split in two halves? A divide that is likely to remain for a generation. Why remain in a country with clear fascist tendencies and in a political and economic downward spiral? I mean, to be fair, it's not great, but at the same time, like there's unless somehow, you know, for whatever reasons, I know a country made me an offer to move or whatever, then it'd be tempting, which will never happen because I don't think it ever does. But I don't see the point. I don't see the point of moving unless there was a job offer that was really enticing in another country. I just wouldn't bother. You know, move away from my family for what? You know, just so I can live on my own, make substandard food. No, it's just there's no point. You know, economic downturn. I mean, it's going to be not great for a long time, but you know, it's easier to live with, you know, my family than it is to live on my own, I guess. Me moving it should be pointless. QA can claim an Irish passport. The way things are going, yeah, I mean, you might as well take it. Their passport office are really busy. So yeah, it might be worth going for, honestly. Ed Gray has a question. Congrats on 5K. My question: what do you think Labour's current Brexit stance? How would you personally like to change it? I think I've covered it recently. I don't know if the video is out. I think it's going to come out today, actually. I think there's some decent stuff in there. My only issues are. Should we bring up the tweet? Actually, let me see if I can find it. This is why it's good practice to leave your sources in, because this is one of the things I do a lot of, which is just go back over old sources. Right. If we have a look, Lisa O'Carroll, who does great work at The Guardian, she posted this tweet out, which is really helpful, which is Labour are going to look to get a new agri-food deal, which is possible because alignment exists within the TCA. It's fine. Secure association to Horizon, that should happen so long as the Labour Party don't mess around with the protocol. That should happen. Improved deal on haulage, don't know what that means. Visa-free travel for touring performers, that can happen because the EU already offered it. They wanted to get visa-free travel for businesses as well. I think that's quite difficult. Regulatory equivalents for the City of London, not going to happen because the EU are quite intent on bringing financial services into the EU. Mutual recognition for professionals, fine. I think that one's good. I think it's decent. The only things I would change is I would say, look, we want to have some of the high standards in the world, right, for food, for safety reasons, and because we're Britain, blah blah blah, patriotism, right? And by doing that, the EU sets the minimum standards. That's what I would talk about. So we're going to have higher standards than the EU, but getting an alignment deal would help exporters, farmers, etc. That's kind of the thing I would talk about. I would not pin it as we're going to get alignment with the EU and kind of leave it there. I would say we want the high standards in agri-food, you know, because we want the best. We want to be the best, and you know, start screaming patriotism. And the EU set the minimum standards. We're going to go far beyond them anyways, so we might as well get an alignment deal. A load of exceptionalist nonsense. They're as deluded as the Tories. I mean, that's not strictly true. I mean, those proposals were pretty good, apart from the regulatory alignment for the City of London. That's not going to happen. But for the most part, most of their proposals are actually decent. But they need to talk about more about moving away from deregulation and moving more towards regulation, having the best standards, not wanting to be like America where, the rivers in America used to go on fire. They have salmonella outbreaks all the time. They're just a massive food hazard. And I would say I don't want to move to be a country like that. I don't want to be a country that uses hormones on animals, etc. The EU don't use hormones on animals. We want to be more like that rather than being more like Australia or Canada or America, for example. So hopefully that answers that question. I think it's not bad. It's just they don't talk about it enough. You have to talk about the problems before you can talk about solutions. That's a key problem. A lot of people don't understand that. Another one, Gordon Strong. Congratulations on 5K. Do you think we'll ever rejoin the EU? And if so, how long? I don't think we'll rejoin. I've got a feeling. I don't think it will happen. Could be 25. Could be 30 years. Honestly, minimum. Earliest Horizon involvement will now be 2027. Earliest regulatory alignment will be when the agencies are vetted. They don't even exist yet. Yeah, I suppose that's true, isn't it? But it's difficult, isn't it? That one with the with that stuff there. The agencies are a key problem in themselves because they're not set up properly and they're massively underfunded as well. Again, it will take a long time to get these things moving, but the Labour Party can get the ball rolling on some of this stuff, but it could take 10 years. That's a key problem because that's 2 electoral cycles. It's more than 2 when you think about it. I can't see it happening. I can see us maybe, we'd be lucky if we get EFTA membership in a lot of ways, to be honest. I don't think we will. I can see the EU saying no. It just depends on what the next generations of politicians are like. And a lot of the ones that have been scarred by Brexit, the ones that are in charge now and the generation kind of below them, kind of the Gen Xers, I think they're going to be useless. It'll be probably the generation after the Zoomers. I think they'll be the ones that might be able to get somewhere, but that'll be in about 25, between 25 and 40 years potentially. It's just really difficult to really get that done. Also, Viking, did you see the UK's got its own rival to Horizon? I'm going to be talking about it in a video. It's hilarious. A friend owns a trucking company in North Ireland. Bought the company a few years ago, and they've never been busier. Before I forget, the ship meats frozen and chilled all across Europe. They ship meats frozen. Okay. Yeah, we can't export. The UK aren't allowed to export, or GB aren't allowed to export chilled meats into in and around Europe, can they? Which is a big problem. You can only do either fresh or frozen. Frozen is not worth as much, and fresh, it'll die very quickly. That's why chilled meats are great. Who doesn't love a cold cut? So, when do you think Scotland will be independent? When do you see Irish unification? I mean, Scotland's got a referendum. I think it's been announced for October 2023. So that's the next year. So if they vote yes, they vote to leave. Saw that, it's funny. Turing must be rotating in his grave with laughter. Lol. Yeah, Turing, Alan Turing. I think that's a reference to. Yeah, that's what it's a reference to. Probably for Scotland to gain independence is quite difficult. I'd probably take 5 to 10 years to fully disentangle itself. I think maybe. I'm not sure. It depends. It depends what they agree with the British government at the end of the day. There'll be a longish transition period. And I think the way Scotland could do it is they could try and end the Scottish transition period in kind of align with a potential kind of run for EU membership. But again, that just to get candidate status with the EU will take time. So it depends. It's tricky. With the Scottish thing, I think Irish unification probably be about 10 years. It depends. It depends how much. It depends on what happens in Northern Ireland over the next few years. That honestly. With Sinn Féin being the largest party in Northern Ireland and potentially in the Republic of Ireland, it puts Ireland in a very good spot for reunification. I think the key issue will be money. How do you kind of rebuild Northern Ireland, given that economically it's not doing great? The economy now is doing good, but in terms of things like infrastructure, in terms of housing, in terms of society in Northern Ireland, it's not great. They've been massively underfunded by the Tories for the last 10 years. I couldn't tell you how good or how badly the Labour government did between their run 97 to 2010, but I can tell you it's kind of probably not as bad as a East Berlin West Berlin scenario, but I don't think it's a million miles away from a West Berlin scenario, an East Berlin scenario. People in Northern Ireland or Ireland could probably tell me different, or kind of inform me about how bad it is or how good it is. But from what I've kind of read about it, it's going to require a lot of help from the EU and the Americans as well. But I can see reunification, Scottish independence happening in about 10 years' time. Genuinely, I can see it. It just depends on when a border poll is taken. That's the key question. If they do a border poll in the next few years, they still have a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. Irish unification is becoming more logical. When did the DUP ever see logic? I don't know, mate. The DUP are a bunch of whack jobs. Honestly. Couple of more comments. Congratulations, big man. Thanks. Well done. Keep up the good work. 7K by Christmas. It's looking potentially that could happen. It could happen. It's an early birthday present. Yeah, my birthday's on Wednesday. PMQ is going to be on Wednesday. That's going to suck. But yeah, what are my political ambitions? I don't really have any political ambitions, in all honesty. I did when I was probably like 18, but when I saw the fact that Ed Miliband had to go against his brother to, he essentially killed his brother's dreams and then he lost in the end anyways. I just don't think I could do that to someone. I don't think I could take their dreams away like that. So yeah, I just don't. It's a game full of snakes at the end of the day, and it's not a game I'm willing to play, honestly. You're in a role where only one person can really be leader. There can only be one big boss, and it's just not in it. At least in this space, I can kind of coexist with other people as best I can. I make that harder than it has to be at times, but yeah, I'd rather be where I am rather than getting involved. If anyone wanted me for a consultancy role, obviously I'd have to give a disclaimer on the channel consistently. But that's something I might do. But again, I don't know why anyone would hire me as a consultant. But yeah, if something like that came about, I probably would be up for it. But at the same time, it's just one of those things where I'll see maybe in 5 years' time I'll change my mind. I can see someone like Sam Cedar was changing his mind about challenging Chuck Schumer, for example, in New York. So I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I'm saying it probably won't happen. It's a lot of work, and I'd have to give up the channel. And if in 5 years' time the channel is doing a lot better, it'd be very hard to give it up. It'd be incredibly difficult. Where do I see the UK in 10 years' time? Well, there's a recession coming potentially at the end of the year. I don't know how bad it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be as bad as the Great Recession back in 2008, or if it's going to be like the double dip recession we saw in 2010, 11, I'm going to say. But I can see just constant, a stagnation of the economy. Under the Tories, it's barely grown over the last decade. I can just see the UK economy being incredibly stagnant. And, just struggling without the City of London, struggling with falling agriculture, falling manufacturing, just genuinely a country that's going to suffer a lot from brain drain, especially being out of the Horizon programme. The UK is not going to be in a good position next year. I say the UK, it might just be the England and Wales at that point. Let's be honest there. It might just be England and Wales. It might just be England. Especially given that Wales typically votes Labour, but England votes Tory, and that's a key problem in itself. So hopefully that answers your question. I can't pronounce your name. Peter Thompson, congratulations. Someone wrote something in Bengali, I think, but I don't know. There's no translate option, so I don't know what that says. Finished the article. Yep, that's me. Some more questions, I think, down here. Someone called Shady Shay. I don't know who that is, but thanks all the same. Congratulations on 5K. I became interested in Brexit during my last holiday in Wales, at which time the referendum took place. So my question is, how will GB or the UK look in 6 years' time? Politically, I think that's tough. Shouts out HK. It's tough to really say where we'll be. I can see Scotland and Northern Ireland kind of going their own direction within the next few years. So the question is where. I guess the question would be at that point, where do I see England politically? I mean, if we wait Tory again, probably in the bin. Let's be honest, a bit of a pariah state. In all honesty, I think it's just not. It's not going to go well for us. Even a Labour government will struggle massively because of the amount of investment that'll be needed in the country. You're talking a massive investment needed in all the public services, education, healthcare, police, fire service, everything will need a major push, a major push. So honestly, we're not going to be a good position. We're going to be in a very, very bad position, especially cutting ourselves off from our biggest trading partner. Sorry, I'm just struggling to hold in some yawning here. I hope I'm not putting anyone to sleep as well. I got this question from Otto Octavius, which is a very, very difficult question, and I asked him many follow-up questions. So you best be watching this, man, because you made me go through the ringer trying to figure this one out. So he's congratulations on 5k subs. My question would be, if I had a magic wand and I had to choose between reversing Brexit and getting the Tories out, which would I choose and why? So I asked him a load of follow-up questions before I could actually answer the question. So I asked him, how long would the Tories stay out for? Like how many years? He said 10 years, so 2 election cycles. Okay, it's pretty good. After 10 years, do they win again, or would it be like a standard election? Standard election cycle. Brexit hasn't been reversed in that time due to concerns that people miss more sovereignty. Johnson Tories or Cameron Tories? What would be in power? Johnson Tories. Cameron is too busy lobbying for insert name. Okay, it's hard. I'll do my best. So I would say, given this is going to be controversial, it's going to annoy a lot of people, but it's a good question. I would say, given all the damage the Tories have done with austerity, with getting rid of people's right to protest, etc., all the Russian money, all these other things, right, and killing off the City of London, I would say get rid of the Tories. Get rid of the Tories. I would say hopefully at that point there would be some sort of progressive alliance to get rid of them. We get a PR system and just keep them out. And at that point we can try and look at joining aspects of the EU if possible, and really just focusing on the most important things in the country. Really focusing on healthcare, etc. I know that obviously stopping Brexit would be, if I could reverse Brexit, it would be great. But I think that the Tories will try again to get us out of the EU. Genuinely see them use the EU as a culture war weapon. Again, there'd be constant attacks on minorities as well, which we saw kind of during the referendum. A massive inflation of racism. But then again, had they lost, that might have not panned out the way it did. But in my opinion, given the fact that people have died from austerity, I would say stopping the Tories. But again, it's quite difficult because if we stayed in the EU, we have, we're still in the single market, still in the customs union. Our inflation wouldn't be so bad. Cost of living would be a lot easier. We'd still have freedom of movement, so we wouldn't face a lot of the problems we're facing now. It's difficult, but I'd say getting rid of the Tories is, in my opinion, the most important thing. Just keeping them out, getting a PR system, and then looking at, is there a possible path back into the EU, as unlikely as it is, trying to figure out what we can do to alleviate the pressures on trade. At least that's my opinion. Right? So I gave it a lot of thought, and I think getting rid of the Tories is the best thing to do. So, damn you, Octavius, you did me there. Hello, Conservator. Leaders are supposed to provide vision and direction for a party, whilst also staying true to the spirit of the party. Corbyn did it with passion. Do you think Starmer has done that too? I mean, he hasn't, though, has he? You've got a Labour Party. Labour MPs actively going against the trade unions when the Labour Party was founded by, trade unions. So Starmer has, moved away from the true spirit of the Labour Party, as did Tony Blair, for example, as well, I guess. But in my opinion, the Labour Party is there to help, working class people, to help lower middle class people, and to help, the people that, minorities, but more importantly to help, the disabled, the sick as well, the people who can't work or who, shouldn't have to work because of, their physical ailments, etc. If you look at what the DWP have done, that's another thing why I would rather get rid of the Tory party, because the DWP are one of the worst run departments in government. What they have done to sick people in this country, what they have done to try and force people into work is shocking. They're going against, doctors' sick notes, thinking they know better than medical professionals, treating people as customers rather than people who they need to help to find work. I mean, honestly, no, I can't remember where I was going with this, but no, I don't think Starmer has kept true to the vision of the Labour Party. And I think he's struggling to find a vision for himself. He's struggling to find Starmerism, what he truly believes in, what's in his heart. Because at the end of the day, he's filled, the shadow cabinet with a bunch of clowns, And yeah, people who ran on a centre left ticket back in 2015, he's dragged those people back into cabinet, and they have no idea what they're doing. Because as Rachel Sharby said, the adults are back in charge, but they don't know what to do. All they wanted was power for the sake of it. Now they're in the driving seat. What direction do they want to drive in? They have no idea, and that scares me. That scares me a lot. So hopefully, Dr. Octavius, I've answered your question, and you stay out of the Sinister Six, because you're a nightmare to deal with, especially in the game. That guy, man. I love Dr. Ock's character so much, especially because he's a meme. The power of the sun in your palm of your hand. But yeah, he's such a good villain. Honestly, I love him. I love him so much. But yeah, moving on from Dr. Octavius's question. Someone has put, what software do I use for creating my videos? What software I use is OBS, so open broadcast software to record everything. So right now I'm using OBS, and to edit my videos I use DaVinci's Resolve, which is down here. You can see this software. So yeah, they're the two softwares I use to do my videos. I don't use anything else because I don't need to. Will I do anything like Julian Assange? He's being tortured via solitary confinement. Apparently, I mean, solitary confinement in itself is torture, in my opinion. Leaving someone on their own, like that, in a very confined space. I think with Julian Assange, my big issue was that he got too political, in the sense of he tried to really damage the DNC in the hopes that there'd be a blue wave. Maybe I'll do something on Assange. I think he's being deported to America, which is scary because I think he'll be put to death potentially, which is horrific. But I do have my issues with Assange in himself. But maybe I'll do something. I don't know yet. Labour needs to learn to choose a leader and stick together in public no matter what. You can be critical behind closed doors, but not in public, or they'll never win an election. And the problem is, though, the leader has to reach out to the members of the party. The leader has to talk to their MPs. You can't have a leader that you just fall in line with no matter what. Having arguments behind closed doors is fine, but I think they are, and I don't think the leader's listening. I genuinely don't. Apparently he's hard to get hold of. He doesn't really listen to people. His office is closed off typically. It's just ridiculous, honestly. And I think that if they don't listen to you when what you say behind closed doors, you should go public. And I think Labour MPs absolutely have the right to. The fact that he tried to stop frontbench MPs from going to the picket line is ridiculous, when the Labour Party were founded by trade unions. I'm not telling Labour MPs to go to the picket lines. All I'm saying is stopping them from going was ridiculous. Genuinely, some of the decisions he has made are stupid, and I think he's right. I think it's right for Labour MPs, backbenchers, to criticise him for it. I genuinely do. Even Tony Blair has been critical of him. Tony Blair, someone who is probably ideologically similar to Starmer. So I think it's fine to criticise him, because at the end of the day, he has to figure himself out as well. He needs to pick a lane here. He hasn't done so. There are Labour MPs who have no idea what they're doing. Absolutely no idea. And at the end, they end up, quote, freelancing, which means giving their opinion, which doesn't actually represent the party's view, which is a key problem. He needs to figure out what he wants. What was my favourite policies out of the Labour Party's 2017 manifesto and supporting documents? Genuinely, I didn't look through all of them, but I found a BBC article which talked about some of Labour's key policies. So I'll just flick through some of these, which are pretty decent. Increase healthcare budget by 4.3%, and help cut down on privatisation of the NHS. I think that's really good. If we had more money into the NHS rather than in test and trace, the pandemic would have gone a lot better than it did under the Conservative government. It's a no-brainer. Hold a second referendum on Brexit. I personally would have loved this, but the problem is that I think it would have split the country again, and I think that's one of the reasons why Get Brexit Done worked for the Tories, because instead of going through a second referendum and all the arguments, all the shouting and all this stuff, the Tories promised to just get it over and done with. So I think on the face of it, I don't think politically it was a great policy, but I think, in my opinion, would I have supported it? Yeah, of course. Raise the minimum wage from £8.21 to £10. This is a good policy. I think it would have to be higher now. I think it would have to be a lot higher now than £10. But I think, again, it's good policy, especially because it helps out small businesses, because it's not comically high. stop raising the state pension age. I think that's a great policy. Pension age would remain at 66, while retirement ages for those in arduous and stressful jobs will be reviewed. I think that's great that people in trade work potentially could have retired early. And that, again, this is a good policy. The government are constantly raising the retirement age, which I think is very unfair to people. I think people should be able to retire because at the end of the day, when you're 66, how much longer are you going to live for? Once you hit 70, how long have you got left really in this world? Do you want to continue your life working, or do you want to actually enjoy your life? It makes sense to have a lower pension age, honestly, especially when you get older people out of the workforce and you allow younger people to go into the workforce. It makes sense. One of the reasons why it's so difficult for younger people to get a job, which is that older people stay in the workforce so long because they have to, because they can't retire or they can't afford to retire. Introduce a national care service. I mean, again, with the national care service, it would have been great to really help look after old people, similar to the national healthcare service, which is all older people would be looked after. Bring forward net zero targets. Again, great policy. I genuinely believe in net zero. Get there as best we can, because clean air is so important, and obviously as the world keeps heating more rapidly and freezing more rapidly, it's not good for us. The flooding is getting really bad in certain countries. Nationalise key industries. Again, 100% believe in this. So these key utilities are run for profit and they absolutely suck. Honestly, the fact that we haven't got fibre optic internet, broadband throughout this entire country is a joke. It's an absolute joke, to be honest. Especially when countries like Singapore can get gigabit Ethernet or gigabit speeds, and we can't even get 100 megs in some places. Scrap universal credit. Again, great policy. Universal credit sucks. Universal credit has led to more suicides, more poverty, more misery, more theft, more crime. It's ridiculous. Abolish private schools' charitable status. Should happen. Private schools are not charities. Again, a great policy. Free bus travel for under 25s. If I was under 25, I'd believe in this. Now I'm over 25, I don't. I'm just kidding. I think, again, a great policy. It helps people get to work, etc., especially when you're younger. You can't afford a car. Again, I think the Scots have a similar policy. I don't know if it's for under 25s, but they do have free buses for youngerish people. Give EU nationals the right to remain. Absolutely 100%. There should be a path to citizenship for them. Most definitely, they should have had indefinite right to remain. And if they wanted to apply to be a British citizen, that door should have been open for them. Build 100,000 council homes a year. Again, this is quite ambitious, especially because of NIMBYs. But again, great policy. A lot here I like. I think there was stuff on bringing workers into the having workers on the board, etc. I think that, again, I 100% agree with a lot of the stuff that they put there. It's great stuff here. Let's see what the chat's saying. Do you agree or disagree at Starmer kicking out a lot of left-wing activists and campaigners over the last 2 years just because they like Corbyn? I don't agree with kicking out people, no, as long as they haven't, if they've said things, especially like anti-Semitic things, racist things, they should be kicked out. But just for supporting Corbyn, no. I think Corbyn set himself up for failure by criticising the reporting to anti-Semitism. So I think kicking him out, I'm not too fussed about that. But kicking out a lot of campaigners, I think it's very bad. Especially when Starmer's first conference really was marred by him warring with left-wing factions. It just made the party look very stupid. Problem with the second referendum is that all 27 EU countries would have a right to. I'm not sure back in 2019 that would have been the case. I'm not sure, because what's-her-face, I can't remember, because she triggered was it Article 50? I can't exactly remember, but I don't think at the time there would have been an issue with the EU member states. I could be wrong on that one, but I can't quite remember it. Labour have moved to the right to placate business, finance the media. Starmer doesn't believe he can win on a genuine worker everyman ticket. I'm not asking him to run on an everyman ticket. What I am saying is that his takes on the strikes, etc., are just ridiculous. It's only bigger companies right now are the only ones affected by the strikes. That's it. The ordinary person, in small business, etc., isn't going on strike. I guess the train strikes will be impacting the ordinary worker, which is a problem. But again, trying to placate business, finance, it's just not going to work because eventually the Tories are going to swing round, right? They're going to go back towards a more centrist kind of Cameron era ticket. Business, finance will go back to them. Privatisation of services without competition will only drive up the costs. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the way services are run, in this country, like broadband, for example, it's comically bad. Honestly, where I live right now, there are only two decent broadband providers, and they both charge an arm and a leg. There is a third one that's emerged, but they're a bit green, so I'm not sure how good they are. But I might switch to them next year. The problem is that I have to have good internet speed now because YouTube is my life, and so I need good video internet speed to upload videos and stuff. So that's a big problem. I thought this time, 2019, no worries. It was in the referendum. Tom Watson was a big reason why Corbyn had so much trouble during his time. He preferred Labour to lose the election. And yeah, it wasn't just Tom Watson. There was a lot of other Labour MPs who I think felt the same way. I'm pro-Labour actions. It's about evening the power gap between employers and employees. Yeah, absolutely. I think trade unions are very important. I think they overplayed their hands during the pre-Thatcher era. I can't remember who was in charge back then, but at the end of the day, trade unions are an important part of the important aspect for workers essentially, to get paid properly. Then BT's profits were soaring. They won't give their workers a pay rise. They set up food banks inside their businesses. Who else is there? Royal Mail, I think it was the same. Sainsbury's, their CEO got a massive pay rise, but no living wage for the workers. You have to have trade unions. You have to be willing to strike. You have to be willing to strike to fight for better working conditions. Do you mean levelling up? What? Haha, son of Viking, I get it. Funny man. Mr. Funny Man. So yeah, we got one from Gert, 2 questions. My colleague Phil, I wouldn't say Phil's my colleague. I definitely wouldn't say that. Has said a couple of times that if the Tories win the next election, you might not have any election for a long time. Your reaction? I think that sounds hyperbolic. To be honest, I think the fairness of the elections might be in doubt, especially with them bringing in voter ID laws. But the idea that we're not going to have an election for a long time is just ludicrous. I mean, unless he counts 2024 plus 5, that puts that, unless he counts 2029 as a long time, which is a standard election cycle, really. I think it's a bit of a ludicrous statement from him, to be honest. Fair elections might be a key problem, though. But yeah. The father of the European High Court, Sir Winston Churchill, the European Human Rights Court, Sir Winston Churchill saw fascism was a possibility in the UK. What did he say? I mean, to be fair, we had an empire. And fascism, I think there were black shirts in the UK. I think there were black shirts. I think it was around the time Mussolini was around. There were black shirts in the UK, and I think they actually got rid of them. I think they were forced out. I can't remember the exact story around them, but fascism can take hold in any country, especially in a country where we had an empire. We colonized lots of people, lots of countries, etc. Britain, even now, if you look at it, we don't have a Conservative Party. We have very much a UKIP party, an English nationalist party. So fascism can take hold in any country, and I think he probably knew that. Germany, Italy, Portugal, Spain. It can happen anywhere. But yeah. Thanks from Enzo the Guard. Sometimes I listen. Lol. Mario Kart when? I'll play it at some point. Nintendo. At some point soon. Don't worry about that. But yeah, that's all the kind of pre-written questions. I don't know if anyone's got any more. So we'll go off the comments for a bit, and I'll probably end the stream in about 10-15 minutes. We have privatised our broadband, but the people that own the cables in the ground have to carry out and rent to other companies. It's a win-win. If you run a monopoly, it's awful. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, it's I think where I live, it's City Fibre run the cables or Open. I don't know who run it. I think it must be City Fibre, because they've sent me leaflets saying they built the internet, they built the cabling around here. So I think they rent it to Virgin. That's why Virgin charge so much. Where do you live? Rhetorical question. I have 139 ISPs, and each one. I mean, I have other internet providers, but they provide crappy speeds and service, so I can't use them. It's only two that offer competent service. I used to it was a talk, and it was a nightmare. Labour can only win elections with moderate left policies. That makes it difficult to unite the party. I mean, the thing is, you can do a mix though. You don't have to have a more moderate left policies. At the end of the day, you don't have to do that. So I semi disagree with that. Portugal had a dictatorship. Who was it? It's not. I'm trying to remember who it was. Was it Franco? Is it Franco? But he was Spanish, right? Because there was a dictator in Spain. He passed loads of anti-Catalan policies. Changing company law. Bear with me a sec. Let me have a look to see if I can find the thing. Just bear with me for a moment. Just trying to find the thing that person's talking about. Where is it? Changing a company law. Is that about having workers on the board? So directors owe a duty directly not only to shareholders but to employees, customers, the environment, and the wider public. Yeah, I think that's great because it stops things like outsourcing happening, and it stops companies from just targeting short-term profits. I think in Germany they have a model where there are a lot of workers on the board. I think is it the 50+1 model? Would it be that? Would that be the thing impacting businesses as well? But on the board, if they change the model to share CEOs have a responsibility not just to shareholders but also to workers, etc., it would change a lot of it. Because at the moment, CEO's main responsibility is profit for the shareholders. That's it. Nothing else about sustainability. So yeah, I think it would change a lot. It'd stop a lot of the outsourcing that we see now. A lot of the other things. Salazar. Labour can only win with votes from the centre, but it's not strictly true though, because they also have to energise their base as well. Otherwise that's the problem we ran into in 2019, which is the base weren't energised and they voted Tory or didn't vote. You wrote that proposal. Nice. We have an employees on our board law, and it doesn't really change anything overall much. Is that in Germany? It might be the case that you don't feel the change because it's the existing thing, but from Denmark, okay, cool. But I think if the workers weren't on the board, I think it would change a lot. I genuinely think it would change a lot. But I think the difference is Denmark, because you have really strong trade unions and collective bargaining, that's really the important thing. In the UK, we don't have a strong sense. We don't have a lot of collective bargaining, and we also don't have strong trade unions either. I suppose it's the same thing, isn't it? But we don't have workers on the board. I think if we had that in the UK, it would change a lot. If you guys got any more questions, throw them in, because we're going to wrap this in about 9 minutes. Falling to 82% in the UK is way lower. Trust me, 82% is pretty good. 82% is pretty good. Maybe people don't realise how important the unions are in Denmark because they've always existed. But I think once they're gone, or once they're kind of diminished slightly, they'll realise how important they are. But yeah, collective bargaining is important to have some balance. Yeah, I mean, you have to have the ability to strike if you're not happy with your working conditions. At the end of the day, the RMT are asking their workers to get 7% pay rise, especially given that everything else, inflation, the rail fares go up by RPI. They're not asking for an RPI rise. They're asking for 7%. They probably could be negotiated down to 5%, to be honest. But what the RMT have been offered is a 2% pay rise with 1% depending on if they accept redundancies, which is ridiculous. Excuse me. Which is just ridiculous. Honestly, it's such a crap pay deal, especially when these companies are still making profit. Do you think future Labour governments will ever bring press regulations into law? I think they could. I'd have to look at specifics of stuff you're talking about. Is it Leveson you're talking about? But yeah, I'd have to really look at. But I think they could do. Yeah, it would benefit them anyways because if you look at the main Tory supporting papers, they're not very good at doing their actual jobs. They get sued a lot. I'd have to look at the Leveson specifics of the Leveson inquiry about what they said. But yeah, 2% is pathetic. Yeah, especially when inflation is so high right now, and these rail companies are still making money. They made a law forcing teachers back to work, and the same recently with nurses. Did they strike or anything, or what happened? Why were the teachers off work? Why would the teachers and the nurses be off work? Yeah, they're on strike. Okay, what's they tried to force them back in off strike? That's a risky move right there. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how that plays off for him. Oh, I see. That's a risky. That's a very risky strategy. A very risky strategy indeed. But yeah, genuinely, I am. I hope the RMT win. I hope a lot of the workers in the country realise, because there's a lot being balloted right now. You've got, I think it's Royal Mail staff. You've got BT staff. You've got so many other companies right now or unions who are balloting their staff, or their kind of the workers to say, do you want to go on strike? The UK, I think doctors potentially could go on strike as well. We saw the what they called barristers recently go on strike. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy at the moment. Right now, what's happening, and the UK is in a very dangerous position right now because general strikes are illegal. But if they all go on strike en masse, individually because they're balloted, the government can't stop that. And you've got Lib Dem MPs talking about send the army in. These MPs are so out of touch right now. They have no idea what's going on, and that will be their downfall. The fact that they don't understand how much anger there is in the country, because general strikes are illegal. Yeah, they've been illegal since the 1920s. Yeah, these MPs don't realise how the kind of danger they're in. I think because they're on a lot of money and they don't feel inflation. You got David Lammy talking about how, oh yeah, we're all feeling the pinch, man. Bro, you got two jobs. Shut up. In the Netherlands, only the police can't go on strike, but they can refuse to write tickets. Lol, jokes. As far as I know of the fire service, the nurses. Also, I think it's fire service, police, and nurses can't go on strike. But I don't know. I don't know if that's 100% true. I'm not 100% sure on that one. But yeah, I think certain workers can't go on strike. Oh, I see. Okay, cool. Kind of like the RMT workers. I mean, the railway staff are still keeping some train lines open for emergency staff. I think they're at 20% capacity. I don't know how long they're going to go on strike for, though. I do appreciate Mick Lynch, his efforts when he's like, the Network Rail boss on a lot of money, Bank of England chiefs on a lot of money. Nurses can do Sunday service on working days. At least that's how it's here. And in the Netherlands, Sunday service. God, I hate Sunday service. Sunday service sucks, man. The buses run like pure rubbish. God, I hate Sunday service. But yeah. You guys got any more questions? Anything else you want to throw in the chat? So I'm going to end the stream in about 5 to 10 minutes. Probably need to take a nap because I'm struggling out here. But yeah, I just, like I said, the UK is in a very dangerous position. I can remember when it was possibly Australia. They had a public transport strike, but stayed at work, but let everyone travel. Japan do that. Japan do that a lot. If the transport workers, as far as I'm aware, go on strike, they just let people for free. Which apparently is illegal to do in the UK, which sucks. But yeah, Japan do that. They just let people walk past them. It's great. The level of discontent with the looming recession is a toxic mess. Yeah, I think people are realising, I think slowly, that politics just isn't working for them. At the end of the day, they're sick of it. Inflation's so high right now. The price of the energy bills are a killer. The energy bills are so bad right now, and the government are just refusing to do enough. They're giving £400 per household, but if you own more than one house, you get more money, which is just ridiculous. It's just a massive payout for landlords. Let's be honest there. It's just crazy, honestly, that they're doing this. it beggars belief. You got a situation where councils aren't even paying out the money that they're meant to pay out as well, which is just wild. They're just hanging on to the money until people try and claim it. If the UK becomes the former UK, can we call it FUK? Probably. Yeah, I'll allow it. I'll allow it. You'd have to pronounce it as FUK though. You call it FCUK, former colonising United Kingdom. FCUK, I think you can get away with it, even that's a brand. I don't know where this year ends because they're gonna increase the energy cap at I think it's October, so they're gonna bills are gonna go up a lot during the winter, which obviously is harder to strike in the winter. But yeah, at what point were you Wengland? Don't know what that means. The energy strike is, I mean, not the energy strike. The lifting, once they lift the energy cap, I think that's just going to be. Oh, I see. I think at that point it's going to be incredibly toxic. At that point it's going to be incredibly toxic when Ofgem lift that cap. But yeah, I think it's a joke because you've got like companies that are producing renewable energy that supply just renewable energy, raising their costs and their price, and then you're like, they're like, oh, we had to raise our prices. Like, bro, you rely on the wind. The wind price hasn't gone up. The wind's been pretty steady, and they're just full of rubbish because they know they can raise the prices now because the wholesale energy cost has gone up. So they're just filling their boots. And surely the regulations say you're selling renewable energy, son. Pack it in. It's just madness to me. I can see the UK grinding to a halt this year. I think people are just gonna have enough. Thanks, Simon. I think people are just gonna have enough at some point soon. But I just don't know when, because the UK is an incredibly passive country. They try and pull this stuff in France, yeah, you get sprayed down by some sort of stinky chemical, no doubt. You'd have the roads blocked up and everything. But these fuel companies are just taking. If you look at the cost of basic fuel in the car, it's just madness. Energy is just a good. It doesn't matter how it's made. Once it's in the grid, it's sold at market rate. Yeah, I suppose so, but they're charging ridiculous amounts for the renewable energy. Because there's certain providers in the UK that just produce renewable energy and they use it as a selling point. That if you go with them, you're supporting renewable energy. So that their whole thing doesn't make any sense then if that's the case. But yeah, I just think it's wild. To be honest, there was a village in England, I think somewhere, that built its own wind turbine and it sells the energy back to the national grid. And then what it does is it uses that money to invest in the town. So hopefully that village is making money somewhere because the energy price has gone up. It's such a good idea, honestly. They built their own wind turbine and just sell it back to the grid. It's great. There's a guy on YouTube who does that. He built his own solar panels on his house and he just sells whatever excess energy he has to the grid. Jerry rig everything. It's quite cool. It's quite a cool guy. But yeah, solar panels are not the most efficient form of energy generation. I do wonder how he manages to sell it to the grid. Same with the Scottish town that made tide generators. Oh, they do something similar. It's quite interesting. So you just sell it back to the grid. I think the only problem with the tidal energy is I think it does cause issues with ocean currents or with water currents. I think that's the only issue with them. I'm not sure how damaging it is, but it does cause some issues. But I suppose you can do things like hydroelectric dams, for example. That's a cool concept in itself. How would you feel if Jacob Rees-Mogg ever became Prime Minister? Oh, mate, I'd just give up at that point. I'll probably just move to doing just pure. I'd just do game content. I think at that point I'd just give up. It's just an upside down windmill. Oh, okay, cool. I would just do. Oh, it's like a water wheel. It's kind of like maybe it's like a water wheel. The ones they used to have in the olden days. What's it called? I would if Mogg became Prime Minister, I'd just do straight Yu-Gi-Oh content, honestly. Or just games. I'd just give up on this country. It's just, the fact that he even has a cabinet position is ridiculous. Absolutely scandalous. That man's been given a role in the cabinet. madness, absolute madness. And I don't think he'll ever become prime minister though, because he'll have to declare more of his interests. But yeah, if Smog became PM, I would recommend opening a top hat shop. Yeah, I probably would have to be honest. I tell people you can burn these top hats. But yeah. I despair if that man became prime minister, because he shows you that how much an Eton education and an accent can get you. Because that man has no qualifications. He has no right to really be in politics. Not really. The guy's just, his lack of knowledge is unending. He's just a posh boy, isn't he? At the end of the day, he's a posh boy of a bygone era who's still made it because he speaks very fancy and people think he's bright because of it. It's just frustrating. There was a point where Tories tried to get rid of their posh accents because they were seen as condescending and irritants. He's just an Eton man with the right connections. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's all he is. But at the end of the day, it works for him. He's got a role in the cabinet. He's got a role as an MP, and he's going to be an MP for a while potentially, unless the Lib Dems can boot him from Somerset, which I don't know if that will happen. I'd have to hope for the best at that point. Makes it tempting to donate some money to the Lib Dem party, but I still hate them for what they did in 2010. Who knew I could hold a grudge for 12 years, huh? Still can. But yeah, I'm still annoyed at them for what they did back then, because their legacy still impacts us today. At the end of the day, send Mog a letter that you found a Brexit benefit. Building a channel on the ruins of leaving law. Maybe I will. Who knows? He's asking for Brexit benefits though. He's giving me endless content to talk about. Absolutely unending amounts of topics to talk about with this stuff, because honestly, it never stops. There's just so much to talk about. It just never stops. I'm just gonna check on the channel because I've got a video coming out in about 10 minutes. Oh my god, I just get absolute morons in the comments nowadays. Some guy trying to explain to me there's no such thing as international law. Jesus Christ, man, where do these people come from? Honestly, the algorithm is just pushing me to the biggest idiots on the globe. No such thing as international law. They're stupid. Did you guys see the Chinese embassy in Ireland is trolling the British government? Mog as PM would mean an end to all relations with other European states. I think they would just give up on us at that point. He'd be like condescending to all the different individual leaders of states. Honestly, so there was a point where your country could have been colonised, but the British stopped it from happening. I despair. I'm gonna wrap this in a few minutes, guys. If there's any more questions, feel free to throw them in. I've got a video coming out in about 10 minutes. No, it's not coming out in 10 minutes. It's coming in about half an hour. It'll be on. What's it going to be on? Yes, it's a good one. It's Brexiteers and the stab in the back theory. That's going to be a good video. Because that's what Brexiteers are pushing at the moment. They're pushing the stab in the back theory. So yeah, if you guys want to watch that, let me know. There are idiots everywhere. Got in an argument with a German that literally told me electricity cannot heat a house on Reddit. What? What does he believe heats houses then? My man's still in the era of the gas boiler, evidently. Not in the era of the electric boiler. Only gas, yeah. The guy's full of hot air then, isn't he? Get it? Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's happy to let civil servants do his work for him. I'm just going to move these back to 2:15 because I wasn't sure how long this thing was going to go for. But yeah, I've got a lot of work to get on with the next few days. Yes. Speaking of the Lib Dems, did they post a leaflet through your letterbox 2019 that was dressed to make it look like a Labour one? It happened to me. It said Labour wanted us to vote Lib Dem. I didn't see anything like that. I don't think I got the infamous graph one either, where it was a blatant lie. The graph was just super misleading, and people mocked them relentlessly on Twitter for that. Actually, do you know what? I might have got that leaflet. I can't remember. If I get it again, though, I might tweet them and tell them, do they understand how a bar graph works? Because they did that recently, didn't they? The Telegraph put something out to make it look like Boris Johnson had a lot of support in the country, but he actually didn't. It was great, honestly. You can tell it's pure client journalism at that point. Absolutely shambolic. You know, he was probably confused with heat pumps that might require larger radiators and floor heating. Maybe the guy sounds like a moron though, so I wouldn't bother arguing with them. Just mute people and just move along. Any more questions, guys, before we wrap this thing up? Honestly, arguing with people on the internet is I troll them for like a bit, and then after that I just mute them. It's generally the best policy I found. Trolling them is fun, and then you get bored, so you just mute them. What more can you do? People are just comical. When is the 10k celebration planned? When I hit 10k, which probably be next year. Let's be honest, it's halfway through the year. I've hit 5k. I think I hit 4 and 5 this year. I think. So probably be next year, middle of next year, maybe. It depends. It depends on how the channel grows at the end of the day. That's something I'm not really in control of. All I can do is put out content, and just hope people watch it. No, that's pretty much it. No, that's all I can do. It's just try and make videos, see if people watch them. Hopefully next year. It just depends. It depends on like if I get big videos like the Liz Truss one that got me around 200 subscribers, I'll hit 10k real quick. But if that doesn't happen, we continue with kind of the slower growth that I've seen more recently. Let's see, where is it? Here, kind of middling growth, where it's on, around 10 a day, 10 to 15 a day. It's going to take a while, because the average isn't that high. It's just this trust video really blew it up. But yeah, even if you look at, say, the last, say, 90 days, it just depends. Growth is very slow. But, it's just going to take time, and, I've accepted that. So, some days it's going to be good, some days not so good. It just depends. See you at 10k then. It's going to be a while, but 9k I'm going to have something planned. Just imagine talking to 50,000 people. It's a lot. Yeah, it is a lot of people. Oh, sorry, 5,000 people. It's a lot of people, yeah. It takes a while, then it snowballs. I think it would just be constant highs and lows, to be honest. That's pretty much it. It's a slow game of progression at the end of the day. But it's going to take time, and I've accepted that. So as long as YouTube don't screw around too much with the algorithm, which they did back in November, which was really scary, it should be fine. But yeah, I'll probably do a special every 1,000 until 10, and then I'll think about it. Probably do one every 1,000 anyway, so I don't see why I wouldn't. I might as well. Gives me more chance to do Q&As and stuff, which I think people enjoy these. I'm not sure, but yeah, just like if you look at someone like Secular Talks channel, his channel stalled out really badly. He's near 1 million subscribers, but his channel kind of stuck. Which he said he's happy with. He never thought he'd have this many, but at the same time, surely I think he thinks to himself, what happened. Because he blames the algorithm for a lot of the problems, which the algorithm is partially to blame, but at the same time, he's got to take some responsibility as well. And I feel like he does way too much. I think, in terms of he's always late, like really late to content. He's always guaranteed. He's always about 3 days late. Everyone else already covered the stuff, and yeah, I don't want to be like that, which. It's something I'm kind of trying to avoid as best I can, but I have been quite late for quite a few topics. which is a big problem. Yeah, thanks G, appreciate that. But yeah, about 2 minutes the video is going to come out, so if you got any final questions, feel free to throw them in. If not, I'll end the stream in a couple of minutes and probably just collapse in my bed soon. But yeah, anything else you guys want to add? Tea and coffee, man, it's not working anymore. To move to something stronger. Or go off these completely. Are you still doing a reaction video to the Imperial Missions video? I'm not sure. If you post in the Discord, I'll have a look. But yeah, soon. TM 6,000 Q&A. Yes, soon. But for now, good night. Haha, still the day, man. It's afternoon. But yeah, I don't think I got enough sleep yesterday, to be honest. So yeah, it might be nap time for me in a moment. The video's going to drop in a minute, so I might just wait until then. But if you guys have any final questions, feel free to throw them in. I'll take that as a no. It's going to be an awkward silence, but yeah. Try to remember, try Genshin. Alright, I'll give it a go at some point. I'm playing Octopath Traveler at the moment, so I'm trying to complete that game. That's going to take me forever. It's going to take me so long to complete that game, honestly. It's like, I didn't realise, I knew it was going to be a 60-hour game, but I forget how long 60 hours actually is. So yeah, I'm in about 20 hours in. I've got a lot more grinding I have to do in that game. Stupid boss will whoop me. But yeah, I'll definitely give it a go. I'll call it here. Then the video should go live. It should have been published now, actually. Ooh, all shorts put out a video. Should be live any moment. Yeah, there it is. So yeah, if you guys could go and watch that video, that'd be great. But Genshin is what's someone put evil wailing? It's evil wailing but good graphics. True that. Yeah, video's gone up, so I'll catch you guys probably on Wednesday when I'll do PMQs and maybe a birthday stream. I don't know yet, but yeah, I'll see you guys Wednesday. Alright, that's all from me. Bye bye.